if you're at an event, dinner, bar, work party, I think you should look at the boss, see exactly what they're doing, and never go beyond that.
I would say even
Like,
stay
you have a
under.
No, stay under, but that's
Yeah.
my
That
but
has
like,
to
if-
be tolerant.
No, you need to be.
your boss parties, then you can really quickly.
No,
I just think no.
the
My
advice
point
needs
is
to
you
be
can't
you
be.
shouldn't really. You should like have one or two
you
drinks.
shouldn't-
Just don't do it. It's like the scenario. Like if everyone's drinking and like
Yeah, it's
getting-
it's hard.
But
You
that's
don't
what I'm
want to be
saying.
the
You
one
need to
person that's not
follow-
fun.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to use your. I think you need to use your boss as the North Star. Like I've been at events where if the boss is just having one glass of wine, like you have one glass of wine and you don't go over that.
Yeah,
period.
but I'll
If you're
caveat
in a
with
bar-
it. Like sometimes, like even like people in like higher positions, like sometimes we'll go a little too far. So I would say like look at the
Stay
group
under.
overall.
Yeah.
And like you don't want to be in a situation where like everybody is like having some beers and like you're like, oh, like I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like obviously that's okay. Like if you don't drink, there's nothing wrong with that. And like I've been to networking stuff where I'm like I have a big day tomorrow. I just like don't want to drink at all.
It does take the edge off. Though.
And
The edge of
it makes it easier to chit chat, like for sure.
For sure. But I do think that is an underlooked like element of it,
Yeah.
of like understanding how to use alcohol properly in those sorts of scenarios.
wanna
Because it is a thing. It's a big factor.
If you want to look like you are drinking, but either don't drink or
Like
maybe
vodka,
like
soda,
want to
lime.
take it easy, yeah,
So
not even about
popular.
to just
Sparkling water.
soda water in a
Sure.
glass, and it still looks like you're participating without like
Yeah.
actually
Not
participating.
me saying like vodka soda,
Yeah,
thinking I meant just like soda
Yeah.
with a lime. Yeah, like, it looks like you're not drinking, get a vodka soda. Yeah.
So, like, I almost get internally nervous. I'm not a very externally nervous person, so you would never be able to tell, really. But I'm, like, I would definitely lean on alcohol as a crutch in those scenarios, especially when I was, like, starting out my career.
If you don't know
Like,
as
going to
many
the happy
people,
hours for the
Yeah.
first time. Like, you can easily get caught up into that if you are nervous. And it's important to realize where you're at. Like, if you notice your conversation suddenly getting a little bit harder because you're getting too drunk to realize what you're saying, or like you're not
Getting too
as articulate as
comfortable,
maybe you would be before, that's when you gotta cut it
I
out
agree with
immediately,
that.
I think.
And I think that's where you see like a lot of people like leave events, like if you realize you're getting
Yeah.
to that, I'd be like, it's a good time to like notice where you are and be like, you know what, like I've chatted with 5 people, like I had good conversations,
Yeah.
like I should like take myself home.
Yeah.
And like not in a bad way. It could be like you had
Yeah.
like 4 drinks and like I don't and maybe we should cut
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Let's maybe
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I've
like,
definitely seen other professionals older than me that have gotten too drunk, and I have like noticed that as a lack of decorum in
sure.
places like that. Like,
Yeah.
as someone that's looking at jobs or looking of like maybe you're you're on the lower end, like you are networking up, and you see the higher ups. Like, I've certainly had bad interactions with older male people in settings where there's alcohol involved. Like, those are things that also you draw away from.
For sure.
Which, like, it goes both ways. Like, you should not be in a setting, at least for me personally, where it's professional and you are acting the way you would act with your friends.
I agree
Yeah,
with that.
I think it blurs a line though, for sure though, because as you were saying before, like you bring up an outside topic such as dating, and like that's how you start to get to know people like a little bit better, and like in a lot of times in like, and I think it goes back to the scale you were saying before, like the friendship to like networking relationship,
Yep.
like corporate to friendship, like it's a very much a sliding scale, and the more you get closer to like being friends with your coworkers, which that's also it's a good topic, like should you be friends with your coworkers?
Yeah.
I feel like I almost fall on the other side, like
They should be your best friends.
okay, like maybe not best friends,
Yeah.
like there's definitely like stuff that like you would share, wouldn't share, but like I think the more you share about yourself and your personal life outside, like to an extent obviously, it makes someone feel like they have a stronger relationship with you. And again, read your audience. Like, there's definitely people where, like, you wouldn't share that same information. But, like, a lot of times, like, with peers, you're building a relationship. You want to get to know someone. Like, that actually, like, someone that would tell me something is someone I want to, like, confide in them. And that starts to build a closer relationship where you start to get, like, your go-to people. You know?
I like might have a different view on that because I, for my age, am higher ranking at my job than I probably should be, and for that reason, I really draw away from telling anyone personal things about myself because I think it ages me down, and I want people to take me seriously in the
that's a good
office and
point.
like
That's fair.
view me as older than I am. So I have like maybe one person at work that I'll tell like
stuff
personal
What would you
details about
say
my
is, like, the average age of the people you work with?
like over 30. Like,
wow.
I mostly work with attorneys and like older professionals, and I do business development for the whole firm. So like I'm representing all of them and the firm as a whole. And I think just being on the younger end of an office in general, you have a lot more scrutiny on you, how you behave, how hard you work, how like well you can maintain decorum in public
Great point.
settings.
Yeah.
So if you are younger, there's much higher of a burden on you to act older.
I agree. And
In those settings, I
was
agree
gonna
as
say
well.
that-
I don't have coworkers my age.
See, like for me at least, like my coworkers are all like my peers and stuff. They're all under 30. So like we're all in like a very similar stage of life where like you're building those peer-to-peer relationships. But like I do completely agree. Like when you're in a situation where you're in a room with like certain leadership folks that like are on the older side, like I wouldn't necessarily share the same as I'd share with like my coworkers that are like my peers.
Billy, do you think that like you're friends with your coworkers?
I would say it's situation dependent. Looking at your situation with a bunch of people that are a couple years older than you, it makes a little bit less sense to describe what you're doing on a weekend by weekend basis because they're living a different life. They have families, kids, and so
Totally.
it doesn't make as much sense to develop. You can still develop a personal connection, but it doesn't need to be as close as one might be in your scenario or my scenario, where I think the saying you don't work a day, or if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life.
Yeah.
I think if you,
that one too.
Yeah, he actually wrote
Add
that.
it to his book. Add it to his book. Yeah.
but I think
These are all in Billy's membership.
I love it.
Available soon.
I think if you can develop those connections with your coworkers that are your age, and it goes back to what you said too. It's all understanding where you are, time and place, kind of stepping back in your IQ of the situation, and so not taking off your professional cap too early at
an event,
company event,
Yeah.
or with your coworkers that are a little bit older than you that might be working the same position, and so it's hard to be relatable to them in that way, and so finding other ways, connecting with them.
Yeah.
But I think I tend to side with my coworkers are all my age, being very personal with them, but very situation dependent.
If you liked that video, you're gonna love the full episode. If you weren't sure if you liked that video, you'll still probably like the full episode. Check it out. Where are we gonna put the link? Do I need to do like one of these things?